All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Before we get started, go ahead and drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Today, we are joined with Steven Mccombs. He's an Airbnb superhost, real estate investor, fellow Corvette owner, and crypto enthusiast, I should say.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah. Speaking of Corvettes, pretty sick that we both have a C8. You have the color that I actually wanted to get.
Yeah.
But you still have that thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still rallying it?
Ah, dude, it's so much fun.
So much fun. You pulled the top off this year yet?
Not yet. It's still pretty chilly, but I'm waiting. No, I wish I would have bought the what is it? The HTC one, which you could take the top
automatically.
Yeah, automatic. But I just couldn't find an orange with the specs that it has. Like, it was impossible at the time. It was a year ago. Now you can find a lot easier, but before it was impossible to find anything like at MSRP.
Yeah.
Everything was like 50,000 over. It was insane.
Dude, it was crazy. Bro. They're like the highest depreciating car because they went up so high, way high above MSRP.
Yep.
And then just got absolutely slashed. But it's good you didn't get that one because then it's lighter weight.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it just sucks that you have to take the top off manually. The good thing is you can, right? But it just sucks. Like,
at least it's an option.
Yeah, at least it's an option and you can do it. But it kind of sucks that you have to take it off, and like if you have someone with you, you have to be like, wait a second before you get in. Now let me pull the top off and put it in the back. And it's like, I wish I could just press a button and it just opens up. You know?
That would be kind of nice. But that's awesome, dude. We got to go rip another track day here soon now that it's starting to warm up a little bit.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
You were actually that was my first time going to a track day was with you.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Yeah, that was so much fun. I think that was my first track day as well. I learned a lot that day. Yeah.
Did you go with one of the instructors?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the guys went with me when I first got there because I think I was like the first guy there.
Oh, cool.
And he went through the track with me, and I never understood how to see a track until we went through it. And he's like, this is how you take turns. And this, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't even know, when you're playing video games that the lines show up like in the corners and stuff.
Yep.
And I never knew what the meaning of that was. I was like, oh, well, you have to follow the line, but it's basically you have to go in a straight, like the straightest line.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I was like, oh, that makes more sense why they're taking the corner that way. And so he went through with me and he was like, this is how you do it. I was like, oh, interesting. But you have to memorize the track for it to like be really good. You know, you can't just go and just randomly do it.
Yeah, no, you got to take the straightest line so you can keep the most speed.
Yeah.
Through the corners.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
But yeah, dude. So I was actually looking through your Instagram a little bit before you came over. I did not realize you're originally born in Mexico.
Yeah.
And you've only been in the US for
9 years now.
9 years.
Yeah.
You have literally no accent. Yeah. How did you do that?
My dad is white.
Okay.
So I grew up in a kind of Americanized Mexican community.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a lot of Americans, Canadians, Europeans in the area that I lived in Mexico. And at my house, basically, my dad made us speak English all the time.
How come?
To not have an accent.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't want you to have an accent?
Hell no, because he knew that, eventually when you grow up and you move out, you go to another country, you want to make sure that you speak the language correctly. My grandmother always corrected me all the time. Like if I made a mistake, like she would be like, she was half German, so she was super strict. Yeah, she would beat me up if I would say something like, oh, you don't say it this way, you have to say it this way. So that's why people that know me, they're like, oh yeah, he says that this way and does, it's like not the American way. Mm-hmm. But if I meet you like first time, people don't even think I'm Mexican.
Yeah. I didn't even know that about you until I just saw that.
I didn't realize it till you said it downstairs. Like you don't come across with an accent at all.
No. And that's because I grew up pretty much speaking English all my life, like as a kid. So
nice. So you came over 9 years ago. Why did you want to move up here?
So pretty much my story is I went on an LDS mission to Mexico City. I was born and raised in Mexico. I went to the Mormon like BYU for high school in Mexico. And so it was like a boarding school in Mexico City. I did that for 3 years. Pretty much it's like a military school, like 3 years, like waking up at 4 a.m. every day.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was crazy strict, like insane strict. And it's basically a school that was preparing missionaries.
Okay.
But it was a high school. And it was basically like university style teaching. Like it was a hard school. Like it wasn't very easy and simple to go through. And I did that, went through that, went on a mission at 19, I think, or 20 or something. Got back from my mission. And then I just realized I was like, look, I'm not going to do anything here in Mexico. I was a restaurant manager for like 2 years before that, at like 17 years old. And I just realized I'm like, it's going to be really hard for me to do anything here unless I use like connections, or I meet someone that is very rich and he gives me a job and I'm basically like there because of him. If it's just because of me, it's going to be impossible to do anything. And so I just decided to grab my stuff. I contacted a friend of mine that I knew was in the States. And at the time I didn't have a good relationship with my family. So it was basically just me on my own. And I reached out to my friend. I was like, hey, I know that you're in the States. What are you doing? He's like, I'm selling pest control. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, okay, can I have a job? And he's like, yeah, I have a job for you. I was like, of course he has a job for me, right? But I didn't
knock doors.
Yeah, of course. I was like, I didn't understand what that was. He's like, you get paid $200, $250 if you sell something. Come over here and you can live here with us. So I lived there with them in California and started knocking doors. That was my first job in America.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much that was like how it all started.
How'd you do that first summer selling pest?
So I got there like 2 months late to the whole thing. Everyone had already had a head start on me.
That's never easy.
But I sold, I pretty much outsold a lot of the guys there. I think I sold like 120 accounts in like 3 months. So I did pretty good. For my first summer, 2 months late into the summer, I feel like I did pretty good. They covered my rents because I hit like the 100 sales number or whatever. And I think I made I think like $25,000 in 3 months or something. It wasn't crazy, but it was more money than I had ever seen in Mexico. You know, like I literally had, when I moved to the States, I had $1,000 in cash. And that was 2 years of savings.
Damn.
Yeah.
You were saving up for 2 years.
For 2 years.
And
I had $1,000.
And then 3 months later, you had...
And 3 months later, I had
20 racks.
$25,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what'd you do after pest?
I realized that California was way too expensive. And so I was like, I can stay here and find a job. I don't know anyone here. Or I could go to Utah where I knew people from the school that I went to. Some people were living here. And so I was like, hey, I reached out to him and he's like, yeah, come over. So I literally just drove with a friend of mine from Cali and he brought me to Utah at the end of the pest control summer sales. And I lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with like 15 guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, it was like pretty intense.
Comfy.
Air mattresses
really.
and bunk beds there? Or?
It was just beds on the floor.
There you go.
Yeah. So it was just a bunch of college students, just poor college students and a bunch of immigrants trying to survive.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was just random, like.
And you were 21 at this point.
I was 21. Yeah. 21 and trying to figure things out. And I had no clue about anything in life. I didn't know, because I had never lived in the States, right? So I didn't know how credit worked, what credit was, what healthcare is. I had no clue, right? And so that's where my learning started to happen, is I just started picking up books and just reading. And I found a job at a call center, and I had to get on the train from downtown for the front run or whatever.
Yep.
On the train at 5 a.m. down to Murray, get on a bus. it dropped me a mile away from my work, and I had to walk to the call center every day for 6 months.
Wow.
Damn.
And I did that during the winter time as well. So I didn't have boots or anything. I mean, I was broke as fuck because, I mean, $25,000 doesn't go that far, you know,
Yeah.
like that's like not that much.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have like any coats. And that's when I found out I was even allergic to the cold. I started getting hives and my throat started to like close up because of the cold. Yeah, because my shoes were wet. I was wet all day in work. Yeah, it was miserable.
Bruh.
Yeah, it was miserable for like 6 months.
What did you spend the 25 grand on?
Well, the thing is, they don't give it to you up front.
Oh, it was all you
And
back
so,
ends?
yeah, it was on the back end. So I had like 15K maybe on the back ends, and I had like 4K in my bank. And so I was like, I can't spend this money because I was making $11 an hour at the call center. So I was like, this is not even supporting my life right now. And so I had to like strategically spend my money, because if not, I would literally run out of money.
Yeah.
And so, so that's basically what happened for 6 months. But during that time, in the call center, I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Great book.
And that's literally at the end of that book, I quit my job. Like I was just like, I'm done. This is not for me. I realized I was like, hell no, this is not for me. I talked to, one thing that really sold it for me is I talked to this lady. She was like next to me, next to my cubicle, right? And I talked to this lady and I asked her, she was like pretty old. I mean, probably in her 70s, right? Mm-hmm. And I asked her how long she had worked for this company, and she's like 15 years. And I asked her how much she made, and she said like $15 an hour or something like that.
Wow.
And I was like, damn, that's what is going to happen if I stay here.
That's where you're headed.
Yeah. And so after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I literally just left and I found a job in insurance, and that's selling insurance, like car and home insurance.
So what did you read or what did you learn from the book that was like made that such a decisive answer?
Well, I think the biggest thing was just realizing, kind of like expanding my mind. I feel like at that time I was still an NPC in a way, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it's kind of like the same thing with crypto, right? Like before Bitcoin, after Bitcoin, right? And so I feel like I was still an NPC. I didn't have knowledge about how to accumulate wealth. Luckily, I had a childhood where I had a pretty good lifestyle. Anyone in Mexico thought I was rich, but it wasn't that I was rich. It was that luckily my dad had some money because of my grandfather. He was a really good businessman. And so we had a really good life. Like I had a skateboard park in my backyard. Oh. I had a motocross track.
Like more than just like a
real skateboard park.
Like concrete
skateboard park. Yeah.
You were rich.
Yeah. Except for Mexico. Right?
I mean, yeah.
For Mexico, because like you could build a skate park at that time with like $20,000. Right, like a really nice skateboard park.
I want to see pictures of this.
I'll show you. Yeah,
Jeez.
Yeah, it was literally a skateboard park. We had a motocross track. We had a private lake. Like we had a boat in a private lake to like wakeboard in a private lake. It was ours. Wow. Like we had a paintball park. We had a water park. And so the reason why I'm saying this is I tasted the good life. Yeah. Right. When you taste the good life and you're sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours, you're like, fuck this. Yeah. Right. And so that's what happened to me. I had tasted the good life, and then I'm sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours dealing with angry people, and I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, bro, what the hell am I doing? I'm like going backwards. Right. So that's what happened to me is I realized I was like, this is not the life I want to live. And I want to go back to that good life. And that's what I've been doing for the past 9 years.
Nice.
Yep.
So you started getting into what? Real estate right after, or what was the business transition?
Insurance.
Okay, yeah, you said.
Yeah, so insurance, I got my licenses. On commissions. Yeah, back on commissions, back on the grind, back on sales. I got into insurance working for an insurance brokerage. And I was one of their top salesmen. And then the corporate reached out to me and offered me an opportunity to open my own office at 23 years old. So I opened my own office, and I still have that office. I still have that brokerage. And that's been running for the past 8 years.
Nice.
So that's what got me to like transition over back to like the business side, the commission side, the sales side.
Is that with State Farm?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen you posting about that before.
Yeah.
That's freaking dope. How many people you have over there working?
Right now I have 3.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that they pretty much operate the business. I'm there to just build the business, build my clientele, take care of my customers. But they're like the front end of the sales side.
So is that kind of your main thing, or what would you say is your main thing?
Yeah, my main thing is insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, main thing is insurance. Insurance has been my main thing. It's very stable. I've grown it to a point where it sustains my lifestyle, and I'm not a very, how can I say this? I don't buy expensive shit.
Besides your Rolex.
Yeah, besides my Rolex, but my Rolex
that holds value.
Correct. Yeah, like you buy it for $10K, and 10 years later it's $10K, right? So it's like it's not a big deal.
Good conversation piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's not a big deal. But I don't buy like Gucci. I don't buy fancy shit. Literally, these pants, I've had them for like a year. Like I wear the same clothes. I like to spend my money on experiences, which was what I was talking to him about. Is I travel a lot. I like to do that type of stuff.
Dope.
Yeah.
Where have you gone recently?
We went to Cancun like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we went out there for like a week, and
Just for fun, or were you guys?
yeah, well, kind of. It was for fun, but it was because my puppy died.
Oh.
And so we were like, we need to get out. You know, but
Your puppy died here?
yeah, and so she basically had what is it? Well, it was kind of random. It literally happened out of nowhere. Basically, our we went to take our puppy to, or a dog. She was 4 years old, golden retriever. We went to take her to the vet to do a dental cleanup, and he told us that they were super loose. Her teeth were super loose. And so they did an x-ray, and basically her jaw was like eaten up, like the calcium. And we're like, holy shit, like maybe it's cancer or something. But then we found out that it was renal disease. Like her kidneys were giving out, and her body was eating up her calcium in her teeth.
Damn.
And we knew that, well, they told us, several vets told us like, this is like the end of that. And so we're like, okay, well, we probably want to put her down because it was going to be more suffering at the end. So that it was rough. Yeah. But,
super brutal, man. Sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Dang. So you went out to Mexico, get away, and just
Yeah. Yeah. We
decompress.
had to, the wife, obviously she struggled a lot with it. And so, damn.
Yeah. It's never easy losing a dog, dude. Yeah. But I'm glad you were able to get away and go spend some time with her. I'm sure you guys were able to reflect on a lot of good years you had with her.
Yeah. I wish we had more, but yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Dogs are never easy, man. It's crazy. I think about it quite a bit with our dog, Hank. He's like 12, 14 years old, and I just freaking try to enjoy every minute I can with him because I'm like, man, he's
Sure, you can.
he's getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man. But she was such a nice dog. I mean, golden retrievers,
Like
like
so lovable.
so lovable. So yeah, we went to Cancun and just kind of got our head in a better place. And obviously being home felt super lonely. And so we're like, yeah, we need to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, we like to travel everywhere. I mean, I'm going to Mexico in like 2 weeks. I'm
Some family or what?
see family, but also just do like medical treatments out there. It's so much cheaper.
Nice.
So after my dog passed away from renal disease, I'm like, shit, I should maybe check my body a little bit. You know, you never know. And so there's this new technology where you do an MRI and they feed those images to AI, and it can tell you if you have stage 1 of anything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like it basically feeds everything to AI, and it tells you like, hey, you have this here, you have that here, this is happening here, your brain is this, and then you know like, hey, you might have this, or you might have a little thing in one of your brains or whatever, and so it's pretty interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like just a little checkup, basically a list where the AI can go through and just scan you basically. And
that's what it is. It
take a
basically
look
scans you, because before, like the old way is you do an MRI and then a doctor looks at it and then they're like, oh yeah, you're good. But it's like, you trust the doctor, his eye, like you trust his knowledge, his eyes. Like, so this basically, you get two chances. You get the AI, and then you also get the doctor looks at everything. Cool. And they tell you like how everything's looking, but they look at all of it, like your whole body. It's pretty interesting, but it's way cheaper than it is here in the States. Like,
you're gonna have to send me that, dude. I want to go get
that treatment in Mexico is $1,500.
That's not bad.
That here is $3,500.
They do that here in the US?
Yeah. There's one called Ezra. Mm-hmm. They do it here in Salt Lake too. Ezra, and the other one is like, it has Prenubo. Yeah, it's a new thing. Like the Kardashians are doing it. Everyone's doing it.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah,
well, I guess we have to do it.
You have to do it too. So
you're doing it.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah, but the one in Mexico is Clearview is the name of the company.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was like, for $1,500, that's not bad.
Basically, get a free trip to Mexico.
Yeah, and so I'm also gonna do some other stuff out there, because just the medical field here is so expensive.
Yeah, it's like insane.
I literally use points. I'm gonna travel first class for free to Mexico. And then I'm going to do all of this for, I don't know, let's say $3,000. All the things that I'm going to do a what's the thing that they put a camera down your throat?
Oh, an endoscopy.
Endoscopy.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Yeah. So
really?
here that costs anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000.
Yep.
Over there, $500.
Dang.
So it's like, bro, like, that's insane.
They need to go to Mexico and get some medical
just do
stuff
everything.
done.
Yeah, just do everything. And literally, that's what I have, is my whole week is just medical.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm just going to do this, do that, do like everything.
Where are you going to stay when you go down there?
With my parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have Airbnbs there as well?
No.
Just the U.S.?
Just the U.S. Yeah, just Salt Lake.
Just Salt Lake?
Yeah.
How many do you have?
24.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
So did you just start accumulate, reinvest?
Yeah, pretty much.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, so that whole business, the way that happened was, I had heard about Airbnb arbitrage and Airbnb and everything for a long time, and I've always wanted to do it. Same as flipping a house, I've always wanted to do it. And I'm one of those people that if I want to do something, I just do it. Mm-hmm. And so I went to a meeting, like an insurance meeting, and I talked to one of the guys that was one of the top sales rep in the insurance world of the East Side. And we didn't know each other that well, but we kind of knew about each other. And so we just started talking, and I asked him about Airbnb. We were talking about business ideas, and he's like, oh, I want to do the Airbnb thing. And then like, I was like, I do too. And he's like, let's start a company together. And then on Monday we bought a course and started.
No way. You just went right into it.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do things.
Yeah. It was like, let's do it. And so he's like, okay, sounds good. And we met on Monday. We did the course that week, and then we got our first Airbnb like 2 weeks later.
Nice. Did you guys buy it, or did you do like...
We did the arbitrage. We rented.
How does that work? You rent a house and then Airbnb it out?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that how all your properties are set up?
Most of them.
Dude, that's actually super sick. So you buy it at a monthly rate, sign what, a 1-year lease?
Yeah, preferably maybe 2.
A 2-year lease?
Yeah, to get a better price.
Okay.
Yeah, because at the end of the year, they're going to raise the rates.
Yeah.
So I want to keep it the same rate for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, so do a lease, and then you're just putting it up nightly.
Yep.
Oh, dude, that's
yeah. So I get permission from ownership. We explain what we're doing, and most people, they're like, well, why wouldn't they do it? It's like, bro, it's a business. Like people that own real estate don't want a business.
No, they just want.
That's why there's management companies. Like Like long-term renting is the easiest thing you can do, right? Because you have a renter and you just collect the monthly rents, right?
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing.
They want to set it
and people
forget it.
still have management companies dealing with that.
Yeah.
So it's like, then you ask, like, why wouldn't they want to do Airbnb? Well, because they don't want to deal with the nightly thing.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with the
Renter
rent every night and the cleaners and something broke, and they don't want to deal with that.
So are they furnished when you buy them, or do you furnish
We
them?
furnish them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we spend like $15,000 to $20,000
Furnishing them?
to furnish them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang. And then you're renting it out nightly and just have your cleaners, have your, what is it? Everything's through Airbnb. So that's where you're getting.
So yeah, we list it through like 5 different booking platforms.
Okay.
So like we list through like Google directly. So like if you look up Salt Lake City from this date to this date, my listing will show up directly on Google.
Okay.
And then we also do like booking.com, Airbnb, BRBO. There's like 3 or 4 different ones that we use as well.
Do they all communicate to each other? So it just makes it easy for you?
Yeah. So we have a software that connects everything together.
Nice. So it just books it here. It's booked everywhere.
Everywhere.
Kind of
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So it books there and then it blocks off the calendar and the other ones. And then that app communicates with our cleaners as well. So they know when someone leaves.
So it just schedules it for you almost automatically.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is it pretty automated then? Or do you still have to do quite a bit?
Yeah. The whole system is automated.
Oh, really?
The communication side with customers, that's where I have to step in a little bit every once in a while. But like for the money I'm making, for the hours I spend, it's worth it. You know, like if I spend 3 hours in the business to make $10K a month,
Definitely worth it.
you know, like I'll deal with problems, you know? So it's like, that's kind of the idea is like, it's a very side thing for me, but it can definitely not be that way if you don't know how to automate it, you know? So like that, it's like that for me because I've had businesses in the past, I've built businesses and I know how to put people in charge and put a manager and put virtual assistants and all that stuff. Right. But like, if you're new to business and you just want to start doing it and you've never had employees and you've never done anything, it's going to be a full on 24-hour thing for you. Yeah. So especially when you're growing it, and you don't know what you're doing, it could be very demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still growing it? Or are you pretty happy where it's at?
I'm happy where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 24 is like, the thing is, it's all about the economies of scale, right? So like the bigger you get, the more you have to spend.
Yeah.
And so the more employees you have to have, the more stuff,
Risk.
like it's just like the more risk, the more headaches. So it's like, that's the problem with this business. It's like, it's just all about the economies of scale. It's like, okay, if you grow 5 more units and you make, I don't know, let's say $5,000 more, but then because of those 5 more units or 10 more units, now you have to hire someone else and you have to pay them $5,000 a month to do like the management side. So it's like, you're making $3,000 for 10 more units. It's not worth it, you know? So it's like, I kind of step in a little bit because I'm like, I'll step in to make more money for me to not have to hire another person and pay them $5,000.
Yeah.
So it's just about, for me personally, it's just about scaling. Now, yes, you could scale a lot bigger and be smart about it, like hire virtual assistants and have your cleaners do a lot more stuff and pay them less. But then you also come into the problem where if you start paying your cleaners less,
They start stealing.
well, that, and also they start doing a bad job.
It's standards.
You know, like the standards start to go down because they're like, dude, you only paid me $30. Like, I'm not going to do all those extra things that you asked me to do. Whereas right now I'm like, hey, go clean that dog pee that is in the carpet. And they're like, shit, I have to do it. You know,
he's paying me.
Yeah, he's paying me good. So it's kind of that idea is like, I feel like I'm in a good spot right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got the Airbnb, you got the insurance agency.
Yep.
Are those the main 2? Or do you have other businesses as well?
I had other businesses in the past, but I closed them down. I was running 4 different businesses and it was just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain point where you just got to enjoy life a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of, and I'm glad that I did it because then now I'm not thinking the what if or, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. Now I'm like, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm like, I think I can scale what I have, and I can do what I want to do with what I have. I don't have to like go look somewhere else. I'm like, the time and risk reward right now is like good.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a credit repair business in the past and a bunch of other stuff. And it just, they did good money. Like they did 6 figures a year, but then it was just like the stress for the money. I was like, not worth it.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
Yeah,
For sure. Then you're also in crypto.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the crypto space?
Not that long, honestly. So I had known about crypto back in 2016. That's when I had started to hear about it, but I didn't learn about it. I just thought it was like an investment thing, you know? Then crypto crashed when Bitcoin crashed from like 20,000 to like 4,000 or whatever. That's when I was like, oh, this is a scam, you know? And I just completely deleted it from my mind.
Yeah.
I completely didn't.
Like everyone. You just forgot about it.
I didn't even think about it. I didn't even, like, it wasn't part of my daily routine, nothing. I didn't even care about it. Bitcoin went back up. I put some money into it. I made like $1,000 or $2,000 on it. And then it crashed again. And I was like, this is a scam again. And then one of my business partners of one of my other businesses, he's a very smart dude and very, very smart dude. And he comes from a very, very wealthy family in Venezuela, like insane, like billionaire type of money, like crazy money. And so I've always respected him a lot. He's not wealthy because he kind of separated from his family, but he comes from a very wealthy family, like one of the richest families in Venezuela.
Nice.
And I've always respected his point of view, and we had a business together. And one day I went to his house in California. He lives out close to the Palisades, close to Malibu. And I went out to his house for like a week or two. And one day he pulls up his computer or his phone or something, and I see his checking account, and it was like $4,000. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like $4,000. Like, dude, you have money. Like you're not making $4,000. And so I asked him, I was like, why do you only have $4,000 in your checking account? He's like, oh, because I have it all on Bitcoin. I was like, what? You have all your money in Bitcoin? Are you insane? So I was like, dude, you're stupid. Yeah. You're going to lose your shit. Yeah. And he's like, no, dude, you just don't get it. And I was like, what don't I get? And he's like, no, you have to understand it. I was like, okay. I was like, what resources can you give me to start studying Bitcoin? He's like, oh, you need to follow Michael Saylor.
What year was this?
This was last year, 2020. Maybe 2023. Yeah. He's like, you need to study Michael Saylor. You need to follow this person, get on X, start doing this. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I always have a mind where I like to at least
investigate.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear you out. You know, if you got, dude, he showed me his wallet. He had like $500,000 in Bitcoin. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're insane, dude. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And that was back when Bitcoin was $20,000.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, like 20. It was like at the bear market. And so I was like, dude, you're gonna lose your ass on Bitcoin. He's like, no, you need to understand. You don't. But he never told me buy. He was like, study it. I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna study this shit. And so at the time, I made a bet with Keaton, the muscle, that I had to lose like 30 or 40 pounds in fat and in 3 months. And so I was like, shit, well, I'm going to use this time because I was doing 3 hours of cardio every day. And so I was like, I'm going to use this time to study Bitcoin. And I just got orange pilled the fuck up.
Nice, dude.
So I literally just went deep into Bitcoin. I watched every single podcast about Bitcoin. I watched everything. I studied the white paper. I studied books. I read the Bitcoin Standard. I did everything I could to really understand it. once I was during that time, literally during that time that I was studying it, it was so funny. Like you see my purchases in Bitcoin, it was like $100 a week. And then it turned into $250 a week, and then into $500 a week, and then into $1,000 a week. And then the more orange pilled I became, it was just like more. and then eventually it was like $1,000 a day. Damn. Where I was buying. I was just like I was like buying everything I could into Bitcoin, because I was like, dude, this is the future. And the more I learned about it, once I knew BlackRock started BlackRock started promoting it. That's when I was like, dude, this is game over. Like, this is the end of the game. Like, this is the moment where I need to go all in to make some money. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'm at the point where if it goes down 90%, I'm not worried. I'll go buy more, you know? So I'm very orange pilled. Yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
Bitcoin's incredible, story. Bro.
Yeah.
I love that you got orange pilled.
So orange pilled.
Good timing too. We got, I think we're going to have pretty epic 2025 and then maybe a little bit of 2026, but definitely think there's going to be one of those bear markets coming up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
26, 27.
Yeah. There's a guy that, I don't know if you followed this on Twitter. So there was this guy that, predicted Bitcoin to hit $84,000 March, like 15th or something.
Yeah. And
it hit that number that day.
That's crazy.
And he's like, if it hits this, nobody is talking about $444,000. So he's predicting $444,000, the peak of this bull market.
I could see it, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, that's
like
crazy.
Another 5-6x from here.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably pretty casual.
If the government starts buying, especially if they start selling gold and buying Bitcoin, that's going to be crazy stuff. Yeah.
Braden, you have any Bitcoin?
I do not. I
need to
don't understand it well enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to start with the Bitcoin standard.
Yeah. It's a hard book, man. Like it's a hard, the concepts are easy, but then when he goes deep into like how economies worked and what economies base their fiat on in the past and how that has evolved over time, dude, it's insane. Especially because I literally went to Rome that same year that I was studying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And in that book, he talks about Rome and how they used to use gold, right? Mm-hmm. So like what the emperors used to do, this is crazy. They had gold, right? And so before it was like one gold coin equaled one gold coin, right? Like one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin, right? But then they started, I think it was Nero, he started saying, well, why do we have peasants having our gold? Let's start putting some copper in that gold and we keep the gold. And so he started diluting the gold and it became less valuable for the people. And so that's exactly what happens with inflation nowadays is basically they're diluting our dollar for the peasants.
Yeah.
And the rich people keep getting richer, right? They keep the gold. And so it's insane. It's literally what's happening right now. But Bitcoin is one of those things that it will continue growing with time because it's one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You can't dilute that shit. So
no, sir. That's
only
how
21
it works.
million. So
you can't mess with it. That's what's so crazy about it is the durability.
Yeah.
You can't just have somebody come by and do it. In order for anything to be changed, more than 50% of the network that controls Bitcoin, which is basically the mining power, which is a global network.
Millions of miners.
Millions and millions of miners globally, 50% or more of them would have to come together in order to change it, which everyone's favorite thing about Bitcoin is that you can't change it.
Yeah.
So to get more than half the network to agree to make a change would be pretty much impossible. It has happened with like the Lightning Network.
Yeah.
And they've made some updates to it, but it's like a huge mission to get any sort of incremental change, and anything that isn't super thought through that like preserves the value of it will not happen to it.
It's crazy. It's literally insane. Once you start understanding it, like it's literally crazy I honestly, it literally feels, this is how when I was reading about it and understanding it, it literally feels like someone came from the future.
Yes.
Came back and gave us Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like it was so advanced in 2009 to think about what is going on. Like even in the white paper, Satoshi said, like, if this catches on, this will be the future monetary system of the world. Like for him to think that, it's insane. And for him to think like, oh, I'm gonna be anonymous. So if this catches on, nobody knows who I am and nobody knows who created this. It's insane. It's literally a crazy ass story. That's why I say it feels like someone came from the future and created Bitcoin. But once you understand it, like once
I think it could have been God.
Exactly. It feels like something had to like. It's insane.
Divine intervention.
It's insane. It's like crazy because it's such a So think about this. Russia, right?
Yeah.
Russia has been trying to destroy Bitcoin for the past 15 years. Putin came out and said, nothing can stop Bitcoin. For them to say that,
everyone's been trying to stop it too.
Everyone.
Like,
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, if you're a government,
that's how they control us is the money.
Yeah.
We work for it. They print it.
Yep.
And then give it to each other. So it's like, it's literally the system they use to enslave all of us currently.
Yep.
And then there's this other system that
no one has control over.
Nobody has control over.
The people have control.
And the crazy thing, so think about this, right? So like, let's say like Google, right? Google has their own like buildings with their server systems, right? The way to think about miners is like a server, right? And most people don't understand this because they think like a miner is like mining in Bitcoin. It's like, no, the way it works is if you have a miner, you're running like a server, and then the network pays you Bitcoin for running the server, right? That's kind of the basic idea.
Yep.
So like in Google, if you know where their servers are, let's say in Washington, right? You can shut those servers down and it's easily hackable, right? Because it's one building, it's one server. With Bitcoin, it's impossible to hack the system because you need all the machines to be running. And if they're running, if you try to infect one, all the other ones will say this is incorrect. So it's impossible to hack because you could be running a machine in your closet and that one's correct and the other one is not. And there's millions of other that are going to say that's incorrect. So it's an unhackable system. And at the moment, once quantum computing, because there's this whole thing about quantum computing, it's like once quantum computing comes out, they'll find a way to defend quantum computing with quantum computing. Like that's not the problem is the banks. They're going to get effed because if you have a 4-digit PIN, that's easily hackable compared to a 24-word ledger passphrase, you know? And so it's quite insane. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so once I started learning this, I was like, dude,
game over. Like
I need to switch my net worth over to Bitcoin. And so
that's awesome that you're at that level. I'm not quite at net worth because it's still, for me, it's like, all right, what's going to happen? Like I'm pretty heavily into it.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of maybe my business, honestly, probably cars.
Yeah.
Is getting up there too.
Yeah.
But my business, it's all pretty evenly spread between like business,
that's good,
cars, crypto, and real estate.
Yeah.
Like what I have in this house, the equity that I have. So
I'm so in that I took a HELOC on my house and put it into Bitcoin.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I'm like, oh, my house
just
is
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
No other cryptos?
Well, I have other cryptos, but it's more of a trade. Yeah. It's more of like, I know I might lose that money. Bitcoin, I'm like,
ride or die.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, even if Bitcoin goes down, that's what I was telling my wife the other day. I was like, look, even if Bitcoin drops 99.99999%, can I make the money back that I lost? Yes. But if Bitcoin goes up to $1 million, that will change generations. Like I will be set for life, right? Yeah. So that's the risk reward part. It's like, okay, you can invest into the S&P 500, which I recommend, right? If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just put your money into the S&P 500 over 30 years, you'll be a millionaire. It's simple as that, right? But the thing is, the S&P 500 over 30 years is giving you an 11% return, right? And this is what Michael Saylor says. If it gives you 11% return and they're printing money at 15%, is it really making you money? No. You're just going with inflation. You're actually losing money. And so it's like $1 million in 20 years is not going to be worth $1 million now.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
And so that's the thing is like, even if you're a millionaire in 20 years, it's not going to be worth $1 million bucks of now.
$1 million and being a millionaire today isn't even what it was.
No,
pre-COVID.
Like, I feel like nowadays I've even seen on Instagram people before. I feel like Instagram, everyone would post like, "Oh, I make 10K a month," right? Everyone was like 10K a month. Now it's 100K.
Yeah.
Now people are flexing 100K a month.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, I'm making 100K a month. It's like before that was 10K.
Yeah.
So 100K.
I needed back then.
Yeah. So it's like insane now. It's like now you need 100K a month to like be really set.
Yeah. To be rich.
Yeah. Like you're making $1 million a year. So I feel like, yeah, like even with like any type of job now, like you're an engineer, everyone's making 100K.
A month?
No, a year.
Yeah. No, most jobs nowadays, I feel like you can get to 100K,
120K.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then the government is just printing money. And then you're like, dude, my 100K in 10 years is going to be worth nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why I also was very orange pilled. I was like, dude, because I was all about S&P 500. Literally all my money was in the S&P 500 because
Did you sell that?
Yeah. Yeah, sold all the S&P. Yeah.
True orange pillar.
Yeah, I moved it over. I still have S&P, but
not much.
Nothing compared to my Bitcoin. But that's the reason I was like, dude, do I want to be worth $2 million in 30 years? Right? Or in cash, let's say, not worth, because I'll probably be worth way more than $2 million, but have $2 million in stock market or whatever, right?
Cash equivalents.
Correct. In liquid stocks in 30 years. Or do I want to risk it now that it's early with Bitcoin, still have my stock positions, but my potential risk reward is way higher with Bitcoin to where I could retire with $20 million. Right. And so it's like,
I'll take the 20.
I'll take the 20.
I'll roll the dice.
I'll take the chance, And so it's like worst case scenario, I lose my net worth and I'll just rebuild it.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, I will be very wealthy. So that's why I took that decision. It was more of like a calculated risk. Yeah.
So is retirement the thing that's like really pushing you? Because you said you don't have kids. It sounds like maybe you're not planning on having kids.
I probably want one. Now that I've thought more of like Bitcoin wise, I'm like, dude, if I retire at 60, right, or 55, right, and my net worth is $15 to $20 million, like who I can't spend that money.
Yeah. Like
who am I going to give that to? And so that's kind of why I've been like, I probably want one kid, not two. I don't think 2 or 3, but probably one.
How's your wife feel about that?
She wants one. Yeah. Oh. But also I'm like, I'm not opposed to adopting either. Like I'm fine adopting. I just want to be able to transfer my knowledge and wealth to someone,
really?
Yeah.
You can transfer it to me if you want.
Exactly. Like give it to me. He'll probably be dead, but but yeah, that's kind of why I've thought about having a kid. I'm like, dude, like, look at everything I've learned in the past 9 years. There's generations.
It's actually crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's like there's generations of people that will remain the same for years and years and years.
And decades and decades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone has to be the one to make that change.
Yeah.
And like, that's where you're doing it here. You're being the one to take the risk and be like, oh, well, we're going to go get better. We're going to go take a step.
Well, what's interesting is like the fact that you were rich as a kid.
Yes.
You had this crazy house, life, whatever. But like, so did your dad, was he not like How much did he teach you about
Not
business?
a lot.
Really?
So he taught me a lot about hard work.
Okay.
So that's why I'm a hard worker, but he is not the greatest businessman. My grandfather was. So
And then he just inherited it?
in a way, so it's kind of like the, when you hang out with rich people, you also become rich. Same thing like that with
He
my
got
dad.
in on deals.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my grandfather did a lot of deals in Mexico and in the Bahamas and Venezuela and stuff. And so my dad was always with him. And so he got in deals with stuff and he inherited stuff. And so he wasn't a lot of like, oh, I learned this from zero. It was more like, oh, like I learned it from grandpa
Around it.
and then he kind of, but yeah, he didn't really transfer a lot of that knowledge to me.
Gotcha.
Because again, my dad didn't grow up in America. My dad at 18 years old left the States because my grandfather did a lot of business internationally. So he lived all around the world. Like my dad comes to America, he doesn't understand it. Like it's so funny to see. My dad is a redhead, white dude, 6 foot white dude. And he doesn't understand America. He's like, I don't like the rules. I don't like the traffic laws. He's like, I do not like America.
Nice.
It's so funny because it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, it's a white dude and he doesn't like America. Like he likes America, but not the rules.
Yeah, it doesn't want to live here.
Yeah. And dude, in Mexico, you do everything. Like, dude, in Mexico, like cop stops you. It's like not a big deal. Pay him $5. Like, it's
That's
like,
crazy.
who cares, you know?
Yeah.
But here it's like, dude, cop stops you. You got a ticket on your record. It's 3 years on your record. Your insurance goes up. Like you get points on your, it's like, dude, all these crazy laws.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that.
Interesting.
So that's the thing is like, but I do like that structure in a way because I grew up in Mexico 19 years of my life of lawlessness. And I'm like, dude, this is not fun. Like it's so sketchy.
Scary or what? Yeah.
It's very scary. Yeah.
Really?
Like it's very sketchy.
You
Yeah.
come across some crazy stuff
Oh
before?
yeah, dude. Some crazy shit.
Let's hear a crazy Mexico story.
Dude, there's a lot, but yeah, like it's very scary because the thing is you never know who you're dealing with, right? Like the thing is here, you kind of know in a way, like you can see like, oh yeah, that's a crazy, right? Like a homeless dude, you're like, he's got a knife. I'm not gonna fuck with him, right? In Mexico, you could be at a very fancy club, everyone's dressed up, everyone's super nice, and a dude has a grenade in his pocket. And you're like, fuck.
Grenade.
Like, yeah, dude, they'll just grenade a club.
That's insane.
You could be at the strip club and it just gets grenaded.
Ugh.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too into that.
that's the thing is like, you don't know who you're dealing with. And so
It's all cartel or what?
a lot of it, yeah. Especially now, like the cartel is so big in Mexico that it's very scary. Like if you're just a random dude, you'll be fine, right? But like if you have money, you should probably like
Avoid Mexico?
not avoid like Mexico. There's a lot of people with money in Mexico. Like probably there's people with a lot of money in Mexico. They like the rich people in Mexico live a better life than the rich people here.
You think so?
Of course.
Why is that?
Yeah, dude, because they do whatever the fuck they want. Like literally they do. I have friends that are so rich that they just like, if they just want to shut down a spot, they'll just show up with their Lambos, Ferraris, and they'll just shut down a bridge and do whatever the hell they want on the bridge and nobody says anything. And they're like, it's lawlessness. Like if you have money, you could do whatever you want.
Dang.
So rich people in Mexico, why would they want to come here to a country with a bunch of laws? Like most of them just come study and then go back to Mexico. There's no reason why you would want to live here if you have a bunch of money in Mexico.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now that you come from Mexico and now you're accumulating your wealth, are you planning on staying here? Or are you going to go back?
Well, I do like the laws of the states. Like I like the peace that I'm not having to worry that I'm going to get kidnapped or killed in the middle of the street or, you know, like I do enjoy that.
As you should.
Yes, I do enjoy that. But the in a way, the fun that you have in Mexico is a lot more.
sounds like US, it's nice because we have the safety.
Yes.
Where Mexico, it's nice because you have, I mean, with that finances comes freedom.
Dude, it's
Complete.
It's freedom.
It sounds like complete freedom.
it's freedom.
And-
like you can do whatever you want.
But it is at the cost of safety.
Correct. Yep. That is at the cost of safety. Like Mexico, again, the people with money do whatever they want. And so because they can do whatever they want, it comes with safety issues. So that's the thing. But I think I would like to have a house in Mexico. Like a if it starts snowing here, get the hell out and go to Mexico and chill for 3-4 months and then come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not used to the cold. How'd you get over your cold allergy?
Well, I'm not walking in the snow anymore.
Got some wool socks and some
exactly.
boots?
Yeah. Well, it stopped once I got a car because at the time I didn't have a car. So I was driving, I was in the bus and it was cold as shit. My feet were wet, drenched in water. They were frozen up. Like it was like, I'm surprised I didn't get like
Frostbite.
Yeah, frostbite or something because I was walking on the snow with water and it was like all frozen. My feet were frozen and but once I got a car, that's when it stopped because I could just get in the car and just put the hot air in. But yeah, it just like I didn't even know. Like one night I got home and I was just like my throat was closing up and I had hives all over my body. I thought I was like, did I eat something? That I was like, did I eat maybe?
And the doctor was like, no, it's because you're cold.
No, I didn't go to the doctor. I was like,
Google it or something.
yeah, well, after a while, I Googled it. I was like, why am I getting? Because it would always happen after work, when I got home, after my feet were drenched in water for the whole day in like cold water, and I was like, why is this happening? And then I researched, and basically, it's called cold urticaria, or something like that. Cold urticaria or something. It's basically allergic to cold.
Dang.
Like to like freezing weather, basically.
Do people not get that? Is my question there? Because I feel like anyone who's out in the cold, like drenched and like you're just spending all day wet and damp, like
I think
you kind of get like a bit of like pneumonia or like sickness with it. It's more than
this was
that.
like hives.
It's hives, yeah. So it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, I get hives, and then my sister also started getting them. And one day she came home and she had hives all over her body. And I was like, oh shit, you have the same thing that I had before. And she's like, I always get this. And I was like, yeah, you're allergic to the cold.
Dang.
And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And so I'm glad that I was able to tell her because she's like, maybe she didn't know what it was. And I was like, no, you can't be in the cold out too long. Like,
dang.
Yeah, once it gets like below like 18, if I'm out in the cold for a long time, then I get hives and shit. But I haven't gotten them like for 8 years.
What about like if you do an ice bath?
No, that's because it's such a short. Yeah.
And you just heat right back up.
Yeah. It's more like if I'm in the cold for like hours.
That's gnarly, dude.
Prolonged exposure.
Yeah. Like hours. Then I start getting hives and shit and my throat closes up. Yeah. Like, it was scary. Like it was very scary.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. But then I got a car and then everything was better.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
And here you are, bro.
Yeah.
9 years later. So what do you got on the horizon? What are you looking forward to? What are you building out in the future? You just kind of enjoying life, or you got some other projects coming up?
Not really, man. I think I'm at the point where I can actually like enjoy life a little bit, which is what I'm doing. I'm right now. So I focus a lot of the time the past 9 years in my businesses. Now I'm basically trying to focus more on my wife's career. So she's trying to go to dental school.
Okay, cool.
And so that's going to cost me $400,000.
Damn.
So basically I'm putting that way and helping her out because she helped me out during my career. So I'm like, okay, now it's time for you to do whatever you want to do. So,
Nice.
So yeah, that's going to be expensive, but also it's like, I think dentists make anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 a year. So it's like, that will be paid off in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
That's awesome that you want to pour into her as well. Since she did help you, but at the same token, it's really beautiful. Not a lot of people do that quid pro, they don't always help the people that helped them. And so it's really, really cool to do that.
Yeah. She helped me out a lot, man. Like she like, when I was opening up my office, my insurance office, she like gave me all her money to help me out, open it. Like, yeah. Like I was
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ride or die, bro.
Yeah. So I was
Were
like,
you guys already
all right.
married at that point?
Yeah, we were recently married.
Nice.
Yeah, we were like maybe a month in or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she gave me pretty much all her money, and she's given like we don't split accounts, like we just deposit into the same account. So like all her money goes into my account, and she doesn't spend a lot of money. So like I probably spend way more money than her, and so I'm like, okay, let's put money into your career and get you to be a dentist, because she was a dentist in Venezuela.
Oh, cool.
But here it's hard because they can't use their college from Venezuela here. So they have to go to dental school again. Over. And so at least it's just dental school. That's the good thing, which is like 2-3 years. But they have to do it all over again.
Damn.
So, and that's dental school is $300,000-$400,000. So it's like, it's not cheap. And so it's like, okay, shit, let's put that in and get you graduated. And then I'll be, like we'll get income from that. But that's the thing is, luckily I hustled in my 20s. That's why I tell everyone, man, like grind in your fucking 20s, man. Like 20s is so important because I tried so many businesses. I failed at so many businesses. I succeeded in other businesses. And now I'm like, okay, I know what I'm good at. I don't have to worry about that, because once you're in your 30s, you can't really play around like that.
No,
like you can't
really take the same level of risk.
Yeah. It's like, you can't play around. It's like, you have to know what you want. You kind of have to plan now. And then if you really think about it, you only got 10 more years and then you're 40. It's like 40s is when adult males make the most amount of money in their life. So if you don't plan for that, if you don't plan to be at your 40s making the most amount of money in your life, you need to restructure your life so that way in your 40s you are making the most amount of money. Because then in your 40s, how long do you have till you're 60? Right? You got 20 more years. And 20 more years is not that long to make money in the stock market. You know, it's like, it's a lot, but if you had 30, you would have tripled. If you have 20, you maybe 2x. So it's like, you need to plan way ahead of time. And I've always planned it. Like, that's always been my mentality, is like, I need to figure shit out in my 20s. So that way in my 30s, I'm basically like retired, because I already know what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, it's like, I'm just following like a routine. A routine. Yeah. And so, but you never know. Obviously I could lose one of my businesses. Like you always have,
you have the skills to rebuild it
exactly.
At this point.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah. So you always have to be prepared, but also kind of like what you said, also enjoy your life, because you could die tomorrow, you know, like my dog, I didn't think she was going to die. And I thought I was going to enjoy her for another 8 years. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like gone. And so that's another thing I also think about. I'm like, shit, I could die tomorrow, you know? So
get the car,
get the Corvette,
watch,
get the watch. Yeah. Enjoy your life, travel.
Trips.
Yeah.
Have the experiences.
Yeah.
I love it, dude.
Yep.
It's awesome. We've provided some pretty incredible insight, and it's been awesome to learn more about your story, bro.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you driving out here. I know it's not a short drive, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We got to go drive some Corvettes here soon, hit the track. But I think that'll be it for the podcast. My throat's kind of starting to act up a little bit here. So I'm going to go catch a little bit of Z's, I think. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming out. It's been really awesome.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Thanks for having me.
I think that's going to be a wrap for today's pod, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Wait, actually, we got to add our tallies. We've been forgetting to do this. I'm pretty sure we're at 10.
I didn't count, but I think we're at least 10.
I'm going to put 10.
All right. We'll recount later and update everyone next time.
I'm going to do 11.
Yeah?
Yeah, you're going to be number 11.
Hell yeah.
Lucky number 11.
There you go.
And if you're not, then
you will be.
We'll end the next one as 10, and we'll make this one 11.
Sounds good, man.
You're the man, bro.
Thank you.